Do you know that image that lodges itself in your mind and never leaves? A work that, even without our understanding exactly why, sends shivers down your spine and makes you go back to look at it again and again? The Fallen Angel is like that. Today I want to take you inside this painting, not just to admire it, but to uncover the story of a 24-year-old who dared to portray the devil like no one had before. Can Lucifer be as beautiful as he is disturbing? And why was such an impressive work rejected when it was presented? Let's start with the scene. What you see is a young man of almost sculptural beauty. He's seated on a rock, with a light cloud of angels flying in the background. But his gaze isn't directed at the sky. He looks at us, covering part of his face with his arm, as if he wants to hide his shame or hold back tears. His eyes are reddened, and a single tear runs down his face. His fingers are intertwined, his muscles tense. He's not a triumphant hero, nor a grotesque monster. He's someone who has just fallen, someone wounded in his pride. Alexandre Cabanel was the artist. Born in Montpellier, France in 1823, he showed exceptional talent from an early age. At 17, he was accepted to the École des Beaux-Arts in Paris, the country's most prestigious school. In 1845, at 22, he won the second first prize of the Prix de Rome, a scholarship that allowed young artists to spend years studying the works of the great masters in Rome. There, Cabanel immersed himself in the art of Raphael, Michelangelo, and the neoclassical tradition. It seemed like a career destined for success, but his first major project, the painting Orestes, disappointed the judges. They called it an oversized, inept composition. That failure wounded him deeply.
Tired of being called too cold and academic, Cabanel knew he needed to reinvent himself. That's when he chose to paint the most dramatic moment in Christian history after the fall of an angel. And not just any angel, but the one who, according to the Bible and Milton's poem Paradise Lost, was expelled from heaven for wanting to be equal to God. In a letter to his friend Alfred Brios, he explained that his intention was to show two natures, two races, one destined for glory, the other for evil and downfall. The central subject of my painting is the evil genius, Satan. Courageous, isn't it? Looking more closely at the painting, the man, Lucifer, is lying on a stone covered with leaves and small branches. The setting suggests the top of a hill or mountain. In the distance, we see a chain of mountains and clouds almost at the same height, suggesting we are somewhere high up. His left wing is folded, with the tips of the feathers touching the rock. The colors of the wing range from dark blue to brown and white, creating a gradient that blends into the light sky. His reddish-brown hair is tousled like a live flame. His right arm covers his face but leaves one eye visible, red from crying. His other hand rests on the rock, showing long, strong fingers. The interlaced hands are not a position of relaxation. They're a gesture of self-control. The muscles of his chest, arms, and legs are tense. It feels as if he could stand up at any moment, but he remains still. There is something feline about him, like an animal preparing to spring. Above him in the sky, a multitude of angels flies in a formation that echoes the curve of Lucifer's wing. The light hitting his body comes from above, illuminating his pale skin, while the rock and leaves remain in shadow. This strong light contrasts with the light blue sky and the clouds, creating a divide between the heavenly world and the earthly.
The beauty of Lucifer's body is striking. It looks as if it were sculpted by a Greek artist. He isn't covered in horns or a tail as in medieval depictions. Cabanel shows us a young, handsome human devil. This comes from the Bible. The prophet Ezekiel describes Satan as perfect in beauty. At the same time, Cabanel draws on Milton to show Lucifer's psychological depth. In Paradise Lost, Satan is portrayed as proud and remorseful, with deep scars of thunder, and yet a look of remorse and passion. Cabanel suffered from the criticism. He wrote to Brias, "This is my reward for all the trouble I went to so as not to submit a mediocre piece of work." His disappointment made him think his career was over, but time proved otherwise. 3 years later, with the death of Moses, 1850, he regained prestige, and in 1863, the birth of Venus enchanted Emperor Napoleon III and became one of the icons of academic art.
But let's return to Lucifer. Why is Lucifer's gaze so hard to face? Is he rebellious or repentant? Is he getting ready to fight again or simply worn out? Cabanel painted the devil as a being of almost divine beauty. Does that make evil seem more seductive, or the fall more tragic? Have you noticed how his wings seem to blend into the sky, as if a piece of paradise still clings to them? And if Cabanel had kept the preliminary version, in which Lucifer looked down and seemed defeated, would the painting have caused the same stir? The way Cabanel portrayed Lucifer isn't the only interpretation in art, but it's certainly among the boldest. Other works, like Sir Thomas Lawrence's Satan Summoning His Legions, 1824, show the devil as a majestic general enveloped in shadow, calling his infernal armies. British artist John Martin's illustration of Pandemonium, also based on Paradise Lost, presents an apocalyptic vision: flames, darkness, and a chaotic infernal multitude. In those depictions, the devil is imposing, yet distant. Cabanel, on the other hand, brings Lucifer closer to us. Instead of painting him as a monster, he's almost a young hero fallen from grace. That choice was so innovative, it shocked salon jurors. No one expected a student to make Satan a protagonist. In fact, it was one of the first times the devil took center stage in an academic painting. The comparison extends beyond other paintings of Lucifer. Think of the sculptures from antiquity and the Renaissance. The lines of Lucifer's body recall the Apollo Belvedere or the Laocoon. His perfect proportions, well-defined muscles, and the lighting all evoke Michelangelo. Yet his expression and tears carry the emotional weight of a romantic painting. This mix of references, classicism, romanticism, and even a hint of rococo in the soft colors makes the work hard to categorize. It is academic but expressive, biblical yet human. Thank you very much for staying with this video to the end. If you enjoyed the journey, leave a like, share your thoughts in the comments, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next dives into art history. See you in the next video.